Be confident, be bold, be authentic, but don't forget to take action. This is Ordinary to Badass, where our stories empower women to step into the spotlight of their own lives and pursue what they're truly passionate about. It's time to step into the arena and become more than just extraordinary. It's time to become a badass with your host, Marie Sonneman.
Welcome to Ordinary to Badass, episode number 236. In this episode, I'm going to share 3 reasons why Megan Eddinger is so badass. Megan is the no BS mama, and she helps you untangle the mess of motherhood and also helps give tips and tricks and tactics for dealing with mental health and anxiety. If you've had depression and anxiety is what I should say. But she struggled with those things, so it was absolutely amazing to hear her perspective and the different coping skills and things that she did to deal with her depression and anxiety. So go back, listen to that episode. If you liked that episode, or if you listen to this one and like it, please, I would be so grateful if you headed over to iTunes and left a 5-star rating and review. Every single rating and review helps this podcast and helps other badasses, just like you, of course, to find it. So either throw it on iTunes or Apple, leave a review. And then if that's not your jam, then cool. Share it with a friend. There's usually 3 dots at the top of your episode. And if you click that and click share episode, then you can send it, like text it to one of your friends or something. I want other people to be able to get their hands on this podcast. And really, that comes from you. So I'm super grateful for you to be here, be a part of this journey. Let's get to the episode. Welcome to Ordinary to Badass. Whether you're ordinary or badass, I'm so glad you're here. So today I'm going to share 3 reasons why Megan Eddinger is so badass. And Megan is the no BS mama and so great. Go back, listen to her episode. If you're a parent, definitely a must listen. You moms out there, tune in. And then also, if you've ever struggled with anxiety or depression, it was a great episode. Definitely a lot of actionable steps. You can see my husky moving around there in the background. So I'm sorry if you hear the pitter patter of his paws, but I'll keep going and push through. So 3 reasons why Megan is so badass. First is for her coping skills. Second is for her intentionality. And the 3rd reason she's so badass is because how she treats therapy, or how she treats therapy like dating. So let's dive in. First reason why Megan is so badass is for her coping skills. Megan, my apologies. I have an order coming, so I might still end up putting this on pause, but trying to do grocery delivery as well as squeeze in the recording of this podcast episode. So bear with me here. So Megan's coping skills. She really learned a lot about herself and became very aware of how she was dealing with things, how she was coping with things. And it sounds like it kind of all came to a head for her when she thought her and her husband might get a divorce, or they got into a big argument. So it all came to a head for her, but she still chose to cope with what was in front of her. And she really found new ways of communicating with her husband and how to be more direct about what her needs were so that she could help and he could support her in what she needed. And then not only that, she was able to teach her kids coping skills. Megan said, man, I used to feel bad for my kids that they had a mom like me. And she now realizes that by the fact that they have a mom like her, she can teach them how to cope. If they are struggling with anxiety, with depression, maybe even with expressing their emotions and what it is that they need, she can help them deal with that. She can give them skills that will help them in life. A lot of us were not raised with coping skills. We might think so, But it is surprising, and I am not excluded from this, but it is surprising how much we walk around like we're little fourth graders. We still have the same issues that we had in elementary school, and we haven't coped with them because who wants to face their demons? Not always fun. But Megan did it. She faced them head on. And she faced them with her husband, with things which she was avoiding or the things they weren't talking about or communicating about. And she said when she was having any mental distress or any mental anxiety or issues, that her husband would recognize it ahead of time. So she had to ask him, can you tell me when we're outside of an argument? Can we address this earlier so then I won't be so stressed out, or maybe we can prevent it from happening, but like addressing it in the moment is stressful. And that's for all of us, right? A lot of times when things are good, we don't want to bring it up, or we don't want to bring it up until things get so bad or to such a point. But like, when are we rational in an argument? And how many of us are actually having this conversation with our significant other, saying, hey, can we talk about this as soon as you see it? Or talk about it before it gets to a boiling point? Or when you're really pissed at me, can we talk about it sooner? Like when it might just be a little blip on your radar. And again, it doesn't even have to be for mental health. It can be for just arguments that couples have. But Megan managed to cope with that. And I loved that. And then she taught her children steps so that they can cope with it. And how rewarding that must feel. Because I don't think she realizes it, but she's gone through a lot and put herself through a lot and probably had a lot of suffering and torment over the years. But she faced it head on. And that is hard. It is hard as heck to look at our own flaws and to be like, oh, yeah, I did that. Or, oops, that's my fault. That's not your fault. That's my fault. That is hard. And that takes guts, and it takes work, and it takes tucking our ego in a little bit, because we have to admit where we were wrong. Again, that's not fun. How are you coping with things? Are you running away from them? Are you dealing with them head on? And I'm not saying there's a right way, because I think that we all have to run away from things at times, or maybe this moment isn't the right time to deal with something or cope with it. So maybe you have to put it off, or there could be a ton of things coming your way, right? All at once. So you got to pick one to cope with first. But it's just things like food for thought, something to think about, something to chew on a little bit, right? Because none of us are perfect. So this is not about calling anybody out or picking on anybody or trying to make anybody feel bad. Nope, we do that enough to ourselves. You are a badass. You will cope in due time. I know this, but it is good, to digest some of this, or to think, is there a better way I could cope with something? Is there a better way I could cope with something with my children or my spouse, or a way that I can communicate what it is that I want, what I'm asking for? What are you asking for? Has your significant other ever asked you, like, oh, can I help you with something? You're like, oh no, I got it. But that's always the answer. What could they help you with? Sometimes I think as women, it can be hard to accept help from other people, because other people might not do it the same way we do it, or they might not do it as good as we do it. So then we get like, oh no, I just got to do it. I got to do it the right way. I got to do it the best way. Well, maybe you accept somebody's help, even if it's not the same exact way that you would do it. Might be hard, but then I think it's important for your partner too. So then they can feel valued and feel like they're contributing to the relationship. Just something to consider. Okay, second reason why Megan Eddinger is so badass is because of her intentionality. She has become intentional. She said she was not this way. And just a couple of years ago, she said she wouldn't have been able to do this, but now she's at a point where it works for her. She's very intentional about the things she wants to do, the things that she wants to incorporate in her daily life, and making them happen, but also things that make her happy, make her feel better. She's like, you know what? There might be one thing every single day that I have to do so that I can be in my right headspace, or so I can feel good. And I think that's true for all of us. The difference is, as women, as mothers, if you're a parent, like we are often taught to do all the things, right? And put ourselves on the back burner. So to actually be intentional with your time and choose what it is you want to do or make room for things. And so an example is Megan does journaling. And it sounds like she has several different journals, which I love because I'm a journal freak too. But she has a bunch of journals. And so she writes things down that she wants to be intentional about. And beyond that, she also has a trampoline. So in between calls, like when she's doing a podcast or something, or maybe she has a business call, she will jump on her trampoline. It's a little mini trampoline. I probably made it look smaller than it is, but we'll roll with it. She has a mini trampoline that she jumps on in between calls so that it can like boost her energy or it's like doing some jumping jacks or something. You just jump on the trampoline and get her adrenaline up. Or if you're not able to go outside and exercise, well, maybe a mini trampoline is the answer there, right? Another thing she'll do is she'll clean her house. She'll get up and clean. So, you know what? I can't say I'm the best person at cleaning or being super organized, but I've tried it a few times recently just to try it out, but that's a good way to relieve stress. Or another thing is that like what's going on in your headspace is reflected in the area around you. Yikes, right? Chew on that one for a minute. So what does the space around you look like? If it's all clean and good, is all the thoughts in your head? Clean sounds funny, but maybe you don't have a lot of thoughts in your head, or you feel like things are going in the right direction. But then if everything around you is dirty or cluttered or messy, then that could be what your brain is like. That's what they say anyway. I don't know how much there is to it, but something to consider. So what are the things that make you happy? Or maybe it's not even the cleaning makes you happy, but it makes you feel better that your house is clean. Like you feel a little less stressed or a little bit more relaxed. Or it's just energy, right? You're sitting there scrubbing and it's scrubbing out energy, or frustration or anger, or if you're trying to solve a problem, you're getting that out by doing the cleaning. Okay, so I want to circle back around to this journaling thing. Megan talked a lot about journaling and talked a lot about her journaling practice, but she said at night she will review her day and ask herself, like, what didn't go very well today? What went great today? What could I do better or do differently tomorrow? What could you do tomorrow for a different result? I think oftentimes when we're reflecting, we're asking these questions, it is not something to come from like a place of beating ourselves up or to be critical of ourselves, because that is so easy to do, but more like, and this is something Megan talked about too, like it's a data point. That is it. It's a data point, something to reflect on, not to take personally, because we're human and also life is crazy. Things are gonna come up. They're gonna hop in your way or present themselves and you weren't expecting it. We can't control life. We can't control every single aspect of our lives. So life is gonna happen. And it's just a matter of adapting to it. So when you're doing these journal exercises, or you're writing down your journal, what went good, what could be better, that kind of thing. What could I do tomorrow to feel better? Cool. It's a data point. It's just something to look at to hopefully be more intentional and for what you can do tomorrow that it will make you feel better. So it could just be like a joy booster. It could be something to lift your mood just by noticing. I don't know about you, but I have not traditionally been great at noticing my emotions and how I feel. And so being intentional about that and writing it down is super helpful. It can be super helpful. And I'm in the process of trying to get myself to do that now. I'll tell you, for like the past 5 days, I've said I'm going to do it every night, and I haven't, but I will get there. I'm being intentional about trying to do the journaling. Good enough? Yeah. I'll say it's good enough for now. I'm not there yet, but sometimes it just takes at least thinking about it, putting it on your radar, And then I'm not giving up on thinking about it. We've got to start somewhere, right? And maybe it'll catch on. Maybe it'll be a thing for me. Maybe it won't, but got to try. I mean, if it doesn't sound interesting to you, don't try. But I think it sounds interesting, very cool. Definitely something that I would love doing. I can already tell you, it's something that I'll love doing. So another thing that Megan did with journaling, and then I will move on, is how she talked about being intentional with her kids. She even writes down how much time, she tracks how much time she spends with her kids and her spouse, or I'm assuming her spouse. Maybe it's just with her kids, but she tracks how much one time she spends with people in her family. And it's so easy. I was a mom or a stepmom for many years, and I just know how life gets in the way. So it can be easy to end up spending more time with one kid than the other. So I love that she's intentional about it and tries to make it even, because kids are stinking perceptive, like insanely perceptive. And sometimes you might not even know something, or you might not even think of something, but it's on their radar and could be hurting their little hearts, right? So I love that she's intentional about that. Just her intentionality, very badass. And she's intentional in so many different areas of her life. So, where can you be more intentional? What can you start doing to be more intentional about bringing joy into your life? Or spending time with your kids, or whatever your goals are. You can write down what your goals are and then be more intentional about one of those things that's on your goal list, right? Or one of those things you want to be better at. It doesn't have to be like I'm going to run a marathon in 2022 or 2023. It can be something as simple as, I want to spend more time with my kids. I want to spend time more with my family. I want to spend less time on social media. So then you look from that to find ways that you can implement that plan or strategies to help you spend less time on social media. Like that app on your phone, I think there's a time counter, and or even on Instagram, I think, or social media platforms, they can track it and you can say, hey, only let me be on this social media platform for 30 minutes a day. That's it. Or 10 minutes or an hour, 2 hours, whatever your thing is, then you can track that on your phone and be intentional about that. If family time is what's important and you want to put away the social media a little bit, okay, there's trade-offs. There's different things that you can do. So take a page from Megan's book and look at your intentionality. Be more intentional. All right. The third reason why Megan is so badass is how she treats dating or therapy like dating. So Megan had quite the journey. She went through a couple therapists. I will tell you, finding a therapist is not always easy. Sometimes it's good if you have a friend, you have somebody that can recommend somebody to you, as opposed to just going in cold. So Megan, she first had a behavior therapist and she said, nope, it was an absolute no-go. It was not working for her. And she knew that wasn't going to work out. And then her next therapist was an older man. She's like, what does he know about being a woman parenting? How is he going to tell me about that? Sometimes we think that we have to suffer. We have to suffer with whatever is given to us. And this therapist, okay, I did one therapist, I didn't like them. Now I'm on a second therapist. I might as well just stick with it and be miserable or not relate to the person. They might be a fine therapist, right? But possibly in a different field, in a different area. But you don't have to sit there and suffer and stay with a therapist just to try it out or just to keep doing it. And it's not, they don't relate to you or relate to what you're going through. It's okay to jump ship. It's okay to switch. And another thing that's very badass is that Megan switched. She not only did 2 therapists, but she had 3. Okay, I'm telling you, I don't know what's going on around here, but I've been recording this podcast episode, and then all of a sudden I start getting phone calls, messages, and then somebody at my door, and then somebody else at my door, and what is going on? It's like, this is a short episode, right? This is only like 20 minutes, say. So I just find it funny that as I'm recording it today, stuff in the world is going on. But we will continue on. Megan had 3 therapists, and she was badass enough to stick with all 3 of them and really find somebody that she likes. So I will share a little personal story. My first therapist that I went to didn't like her. She made me feel crappy about myself. And really, I was at the time like in an extremely unhealthy relationship, and she made me feel worse about myself and kept me in that relationship longer, really, because I thought, oh, this is all my fault. Everybody has faults in relationships, right? So yes, there's definitely still had to be things that were my fault, but it very much felt like I was being like victim shamed or shamed. And I was like, if this is what therapy is, never again, never again. So that was my stance. And I sat on that hill for a while. And I don't know, I mean, it wasn't super long. It was probably 6 months to a year, but I was pretty bitter after that first experience because I was like, yeah, that's just going to be a no for me for therapy. And yeah, I wasn't happy. And I definitely felt like I was shamed, and I didn't feel like I had done anything wrong. I still definitely don't feel like I've done anything wrong, but I could have easily never gone to another therapist. And actually, I did end up going to another one. It's like life happens, and you have to find a way to cope, and a healthy way to cope, right? So I had a death of a loved one, and I needed to talk to somebody. So just the pure situation of everything, or maybe the pain of not going, was worse than trying to find somebody or try again. So yes, I found a therapist. And my second one, it was someone that somebody else had recommended to me. Great, no issues. Still have the same therapist today. So it's been several years, and that's worked out. But if I had never gotten over that first bad situation, then I couldn't have moved on to the second situation, right? I couldn't have found a good therapist or one that would work for me. And I don't know if I would have had it in me to find a third or a fourth therapist, like to keep searching until I found the right one. I would hope so, but you never know. Like, you just never know how you're going to react or what you'll need or how you'll feel. But if you're in a situation and you're feeling depressed, you're feeling anxious, or you've had a death of a loved one, or something's going on, and you've had a major life event, a major life trauma, it's hard. It is hard to be your own advocate. It's hard to fight for yourself, especially at a time like that, because you're already down in the dumps, right? So it can take all that you got to be like, okay, I've got to do this. But try to find a different therapist. Try to find somebody that will work for you or that like gels with you. And that's what Megan said. She's like, okay, therapists have websites usually, and you can go on the websites and stalk them. Okay, I said stalk them. My words, not hers. But you can go on their websites and look at them and be like, okay, this person talks about A, B, and C. What do I think about that? Are A, B, or C one of my issues? Is that somebody that seems like we can gel? Like, if Megan was going for parenting stuff, or she was going for anxiety or depression, okay, she probably wants somebody who specializes in that field. But instead of just signing up for random people, you can be like you're dating. Go on to several different therapists' websites and look and see what they're about. I don't know if any of the websites out there these days have referrals or give like stars, like a up or a down or not. But it might be helpful just to look and see. But a lot of times you can get a vibe off somebody just based on what they say that they're covering. And if the way their intro is, if that doesn't even sit with you right, move on. Don't even do your first meeting with them, right? Just look for people who are experts in the area that you want to talk about. So I love Megan's persistence, her perseverance, finding her therapist, even after it being a struggle, even after having it be the third person she finally talked to. And then her advice to treat it like it's like dating. You got to be your own health advocate. I'm a big believer in that. Other people don't know what exactly you need. They might be able to give recommendations, which is helpful in a lot of times. Sometimes it's not. But you know what you need. So take Megan's advice, treat therapy like dating. I think it's awesome. So quick recap on the 3 reasons why Megan Eddinger is so badass. First reason is for her coping skills. Second, for her intentionality. And finally, for how she treats therapy like dating. So I really want to get in here. I want to have a chat with you. I want to start having conversations to see where you're at, to see what you're struggling with, and come together as the badasses that we are and try to resolve it, try to find something. Or, you know what, maybe it's just community coming together. Maybe it's a Friday night and we have a glass of wine, or you can have a beer, whatever your thing is, and we come together and we chat. Or it could be a Wednesday. I don't know. Different days of the week are helpful. Probably we might kind of spread it out, see what works for people, what does not work for people. So I will definitely be putting something out there in my Instagram stories as far as a day and time that we're going to do this next chat. I love chatting with you. I love hearing what you're going through. And I guarantee you, if you're going through something, there's another badass in the group that is going through it too. And so support, like knowing you're not alone. I know Brene Brown talks about like the shame, being in hiding or keeping secret. I'm not trying to say that in a bad way, keeping secrets, but the things we try to keep in the darkness, the things we try to keep hidden, we're so mortified about, are the very things we might need to talk about, because that's what helps us realize, oh wait, she's going through it too. So is she. I'm not alone in this. And you know, perfect that I bring this up, because Megan talked about that in her episode. She said, oh, I felt isolated. She felt isolated being a mom, and she was a young mom. So she was thinking like, oh, I'm doing it all wrong. I'm messing everything up. And so she separated herself, at least in her mind, from the other mothers and think she's on an island of her own, until she started talking about it. As soon as she started sharing it with her friends or the people around her, oh, you feel that way too? Crazy. So when we're talking to each other and we're sharing our stories or things that's happening to us or things we're struggling with, then that's where you can hear that other people are struggling with it too, and possibly come up with different ideas from people in the group, right? Like ideas of what has worked for them, what has helped them to solve that problem. The power of a group of women, a group of badasses. Men are welcome to come too. If you're supportive of badass women in your life or women, then join. I'm not going to exclude men and women. So join. I would love to have a chat with you. And with that, we'll end our show. Tell the badass women out there staying in the arena, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, own it and get after it.
Now that you've listened to this episode of Ordinary to Badass, we want to hear from you. Go to our website, ordinarytobadass.com/podcast, and submit your own experience on how you took your life from ordinary to badass, and get the chance to be on a future spotlight episode of the show. That's ordinarytobadass.com/podcast. While you're waiting for the next episode of the show, wipe off the sweat, dust off the dirt, and get back in the arena.